Most people walk up to me and say, you know, I had this experience when I was a teenager or a kid or even now. And you'd be surprised at how many people have stories about what they think might have happened paranormal-wise to them at some point in their life.
Shane Elliott founded the Wichita Paranormal Society, a group that investigates claims like those, back in 2005.
Actually, before 2005, I didn't believe in any of this stuff.
But an incident involving his son sure changed that. It happened to him about 2 weeks after his son was born.
Me and my wife were sleeping in our room, and my son is sleeping in his room in his crib, and all of a sudden, he woke up. He started crying a little bit, which woke me up. And I'm laying there. My first thought is, okay, is he going to roll back over so I can go back to sleep? Or do I need to get up and change a diaper or get him some food, whatnot? And all of a sudden, I heard a humming noise come over the baby monitor. And I thought, well, at the time, we lived fairly close to Kellogg, and I'm thinking trucks or radio stations we might be picking up. But then it changed to a woman singing a lullaby.
The baby monitor was right next to his wife's head.
I sort of freaked out, and I went to jump up, and as I did, I felt a hand right below my knee. And it wasn't holding me down or anything, it just started patting my knee as if to say it's okay. I calmed right down, my son went right back to sleep.
The next night, his wife happened to be watching the TV show Ghost Hunters.
And before that, I'd never watched it. If she turned on that kind of stuff, I'd go out in the garage, work on a car or something.
But in light of what he'd experienced the previous night, Shane sat down to watch it this time.
What got my attention was these people went into a lady's house. She had all kinds of crazy claims, and they found normal reasons for every single thing. And I thought, I got to know. I got to know, did that really happen? Bought every book I could find, got on the internet. Actually tried to join a team down in Oklahoma, but because of the drive, they wouldn't let me join the team at the time. We didn't really have anything like that here, so I built a website just trying to get to know people that had similar experiences. And one day the people said, you know enough about this, why don't you just start the team?
And that's how the Wichita Paranormal Research Society, or better known as WPRS, was born.
So we're going to cover some new places and the old places. Just because we do have so many guests, we can spread out and cover more ground that
Right
way.
now, there are 12 people on this team who have all had their own experiences. And Shane says they're just trying to find their own answers.
And I guess that's what the ultimate goal is. It's not really to prove to the public that there's something going on. You're never going to do that. It's just to learn more about what's going on for ourselves.
I want to prove to myself that things that I've witnessed really happened.
Sherry Curry joined the Paranormal Society back in 2008.
Was having experiences in my office at the time, and so I wanted them to come and show me how to investigate and learn about it. And it was insane what was going on in my office. Loud footsteps, paper shuffling, shadow people, my hair getting tugged on, full body apparitions, just pretty much anything that someone would be interested in the paranormal would have in this building.
How many requests do you get, I guess, to check things out, let's say in a year or a month or whatever you want to tell me?
Probably, on average, 2 or 3 a day.
Despite what you might think, Shane says his group actually tries hard to find evidence to disprove all of those claims.
We don't go into a location thinking something is paranormal. We actually go in, hear the claims, and we try to find normal reasons for what these claims might be.
We're setting up 2 cameras in there, one up and one down. We're putting one in the Hodge house because they've had experience lately.
Usually explain away 90-95% of everything.
I came up here, unlocked the deadbolt, pushed the door open about this far, and it pushed back. It just here.
A lot of times people will contact us and they'll feel a certain way. Maybe in their bedroom at night they'll feel like somebody's watching them. Well, the first things we do is we'll go in and we'll look for their alarm clock. If it's an older digital alarm clock, they're known for putting up high electromagnetic fields, and people tend to put them about 2 feet away from their heads So now they're sleeping there for 8 hours at a time. If they're sensitive to that, it can do anything from skin irritations to hallucinations.
Well, some people claim that they are witnessing a shadow person, and then we find it's because they have high EMF levels in their home, or they're sleeping beside the clock, or they have this activity in this hallway and the furnace and water heater are there, and they're just being radiated from these levels that can make them feel that and believe that these things are happening.
People feel like maybe somebody's watching them, and at the same time they're getting cold spots where they feel like they're being touched, which is normally associated with a cold feeling. We'll go in and we look for drafts, loose boards, things like that.
If they hear walking, the group checks for another common problem.
As much as people don't want to admit it, we'll look for rodents that shouldn't be in their home.
A lot of times we disprove it. Ask them to make these changes in their home and see if they stop. Generally they do.
But there are times, as hard as they try, when they just can't find normal, logical reasons for the claims.
Now I see some linoleum that's kind of sticking up, but it doesn't look like it would have been up enough to, hold that door.
I don't really call it paranormal activity. I call it possible paranormal activity, because just because we don't know right now, tomorrow we may get up and figure out even more answers. So I always call it possible. But there are quite a few locations, places like Cowtown and the Orpheum that we've been to several times. They have a lot of things going on that we just cannot explain.
So we decided to go to Cowtown with them on one of their investigations to check things out.
We were looking at the sewing machine, the treadle sewing machine in the Hodge house. And I was bent over trying to make out what make of machine, what kind of machine it was. And that treadle started moving, and the hand wheel.
Belt would come up through here
The belt
and hook
comes
into
around
this.
Yeah.
It would hook into this to run the
So
needle
it
and
has
stuff.
no belt, so I have no idea
So
how
if
it
this
would
was
have
spinning, that couldn't spin at
No,
all.
well, this cover was on, so they didn't
So
see
they
this
heard
part
running,
moving,
though.
So
but
they
they saw this part running.
Lots of audio caught on the digital recorders.
It was on the top floor of the Murdoch house, explaining what a ghost box is and what you listen for. It's kind of...
Listen carefully and you'll hear words.
That's the radio. The Daddy You Promised.
That is very clear.
That was right on the stairs.
We capture a lot of audio. And as much as I want to sit there and think something has to be contaminating our audio, the way that we've caught most of it, I just can't explain. We'll get direct answers to that.
In the jail cell, we were actually asking questions, and I was like, were you actually a prisoner here? And we got the word sheriff. So it's like, the sheriff, are you here? And it said, watch out and stuff like that.
Probably the biggest thing in Cowtown is what they call a shadow person.
Maybe that's what the shadow man is, that he's attached to the actual land, not to any building. Yeah. Because we've never actually seen him inside a building. It's always outside, and it's all over the place. So maybe it's attached to the actual land. Yeah. The guy that used to work here, he used to sleep here at night in these houses, and actually seen the shadow guy. And this is back 20 years ago. Wow. So it's been a long history of it.
We've never caught the shadow man on camera, but just about everyone on my team has seen him at one time or another.
The group investigates here about a half dozen times a year, and it's not just audio clips they've captured.
We've got photographs of I don't want to say people, but it looks like people that we know is not there.
And if we get movement or something, we can actually record in real time.
We've got video of items moving when we know there was no way those items should have been moving.
There's several things that we've witnessed that we've been able to disprove. We were having doors swinging open and closed, and we were able to eventually disprove those.
This is the equipment they bring along when they go on an investigation. The first thing they rely on is something we're all pretty familiar with.
The main piece of equipment we use is the digital recorder. The problem with tape recorder is that they have mechanical mechanisms inside moving around, and so you get that mechanical noise. And so when you're sitting there trying to concentrate on what's going on, you may actually get confused and think that mechanical noise might be a voice. Or
if you watch national TV shows devoted to paranormal activity, you've probably seen this.
K2 meters like this one hit. Ghost hunters made them really popular. And what it reads is electromagnetic fields. And what it does, what it was designed to do was find faulty wiring. The theory behind it is that if something paranormal was around, that it needs energy and it can manipulate energy. Unfortunately, with the K2 meter, they like to use these on TV because they have the lights and they like to do things in the dark, and they look good on TV. It's not very reliable, though.
Although this device is rather low tech, Shane says it's deceivingly ingenious.
Get a cheap set of wind chimes, put them in a jar, seal them up so nothing can manipulate them, and then when you get claims of activity where things have been moved, you set these there. And the idea is that if something paranormal can pass through walls and glass and whatnot, it can pass through this jar and move wind chimes.
A paranormal team in Ireland came up with the idea, and here's what Wichita's team found when they used it in Cowtown. Watch the chimes closely.
As far as I know, we're the only team that actually caught on video wind chimes moving in a jar.
I have to admit that just watching this video gave me chills.
Most people, if something like that happened, they'd be out the door and never come back. Why does this not scare you?
We've just done it so much that it doesn't creep us out anymore, I guess. That sounds weird, but I mean, that's the only way I can explain it.
It just amazes me that you go the wrong direction in that idea. Would you say most of the time it's a positive energy or a negative energy?
Oh, most of the time it's positive. Sometimes mischievous.
Yeah, we've noticed a lot with the cats that live here at Cowtown. They're real friendly. They come up to you and stuff. But when you see a lot of the cats hanging around, usually stuff doesn't happen paranormal-wise. And then the cats will just disappear, and you don't see one. And throughout the town, we'll start getting our investigators. Oh, this happened and this happened. And it's all over town. And then the cats will come back, and then everything stops.
You know, some people, no matter what we tell them or try to explain, aren't going to believe what we have to say. It just happens because they want so bad to have something going on. And they will try to justify what they believe is happening after we've given them a logical explanation as why that's not paranormal.
You know, and if a kid did walk up and say, "Oh, what's this?" You know, like this, it does kind of tend to go for a little while.
Yeah.
And then, you know, the kid walked off. That'd be my only.
The Wichita Paranormal Research Society is a member of the TAPS family, which is a type of accreditation in their field.
Which means from the program Ghost Hunters on the Sci-Fi Channel, we are part of their family. If someone contacts them and they're in Kansas, they are referred to us. We do not do any type of rituals during our investigation. We are considered a science-based team. Every person on our team have different belief systems. So we try to veer away from anything that would lean to one religion versus another. My mother always taught me there's things out there that you can't necessarily see. You need to believe in your gut feelings. There's a reason that you feel a certain way. You may not understand it, but there's a reason for it.
A lot of times I'll sit there and say, you know, the skeptic in me says there's no way this stuff could be going on. But when I look over the evidence, there's just too much of it to say nothing's going on. Something's going on. We may just not know what it is yet.